I have been watching Charlotte for many months and even subscribed to her channel. I make sure to watch anything Charlotte does about cheaters so I can see if it relates to what happened to me. My first wife's name is Amy. We met in college. We met approximately 30 years ago before the age of cell phones. It was love at first sight. We got married once we graduated. Life with Amy was great for the first 2 years of marriage. We were making approximately the same money and were doing okay financially. After about 2 years of marriage, I started to get fatigued. When I say fatigued, I mean I was tired all the time. I was not sleeping the best at nights. Our alone time, to say it nicely, decreased. I had no energy for alone time with Amy. Then I started to put on weight. I never ate excessively. Amy pressured me into making an appointment with my doctor. At first, I resisted but eventually called my doctor. Of course, by the time I called my doctor, I had to wait a little over 3 months since my doctor was taking a month-long vacation. As our alone time was decreasing, Amy was getting very frustrated. We started arguing about little things as well. I had no energy to argue, of which infuriated Amy even more. I was using the little energy I had for my job. I did not want to lose my job. I was about a week away from my doctor's appointment. My employer approached me. My employer handed me some forms to take to my doctor so I could go on leave. I did not want to go on leave but understood what my employer was thinking. I knew my performance was decreasing. Finally, the day of the doctor's appointment arrived. This made Amy happy. I told my doctor everything. The doctor filled out the forms so I could go on leave. The doctor thought I had chronic fatigue but ordered a sleep study to be sure. I was given sleeping pills. I was not sure how long I would be on leave. I knew chronic fatigue was not good. My only hope was something might turn up in the sleep study. When I told Amy everything the doctor told me, all she said is hopefully the sleeping pills work. The sleeping pills did not work. I could not sleep more than an hour at a time before and after the sleeping pills. Amy was getting furious with me, and we had many arguments. Amy wanted alone time with me, but I could not deliver. We waited and waited for the sleep clinic to call since my doctor's office sent in a referral. Then one day Amy came home later than usual. She seemed so relaxed. I wondered what happened but was too tired to care. I was happy there was no fighting. Then Amy started coming home late more often. This is when I first suspected something was going on. I decided to watch Amy when it was her normal time to leave the office. I saw her leave with a male coworker. I followed them to his place. I was devastated. We took vows to be faithful to one another and both of us stated in our vows in sickness and in health. The next day I called a lawyer's office and made an appointment. At the appointment I was told that since we made the same amount of money, and lived in an apartment, we would split everything evenly. I would have to pay my share of the apartment until the lease ran out, of which was 5 months away. I moved into the spare bedroom. I wanted to stay in the apartment since I had to pay my share of the lease anyways. I also wanted to wait for the call from the sleep clinic. Once I had the divorce papers in hand, I confronted Amy. She went ballistic on me. She did not want to get divorced. She said this guy was temporary until my health issues were dealt with. I told her this was not acceptable. I told her if she had a health issue of which decreased our alone time, I would wait. She tried fighting the divorce, but my mind was made up. I had a plan to move back into my parents' place once the lease ended. Luckily, I received a call from the sleep clinic about a month before I was moving in with my parents. I had to wait another 4 months for my appointment. When I stayed with my parents, I never went out. I was dealing with the issue of Amy cheating on me, and I was too tired to go out. The day of the sleep clinic arrived. I tried to sleep as best as I could, but I was literally wired up. I looked like someone from a space movie. I did not sleep much, but I must have slept enough. The sleep doctor went over the results with me, and as it turns out, I have sleep apnea. Once I started sleeping with the CPAP machine, my energy returned. I was my old self. I went back to work and my employer noticed how much my performance had improved. I started going out again with my friends. Life was good, but I was missing having that special someone in my life. Then I saw Bianca on one of my morning runs. She was so beautiful. I immediately went over to her, and we started talking. We ended up going out and eventually got married. We have been married over 20 years. A few years ago, Bianca got some bad news. She had breast cancer. Thankfully they caught it early enough, so she beat it. It did take some time for all this to happen. When all this was going on, we never had any alone time. Once Bianca was cancer-free, we started having alone time again. After the divorce with Amy, I decided to have no contact with Amy. I did run into her at a mall a few years after our divorce. She was shocked to see how good I looked, and my energy had returned. I told Amy about sleep apnea. She then apologized. Her apology was genuine, so I accepted her apology. Amy wanted to get back together. I gently told Amy I was seeing someone, and we are getting serious. This was true as I was thinking about asking Bianca to marry me. Anyways, there was no way I would ever be with Amy again. My opinion of Amy is she is not a bad person. She made a selfish decision of which was a deal breaker in our relationship. Once a cheater, always a cheater. At least this is my opinion. Since I was curious, I asked Amy why she did not have someone in her life. Amy said any guy worth going out with does not want to go out with her due to her reputation as a cheater. Amy added she is considering asking for a transfer to start over. I wished Amy well and never saw her again. Originally, I thought about getting revenge on Amy and her coworker. The more I thought about this, the more I thought the best revenge would be for me is to live a happy life. With Biance at my side for over 20 years to date, I am happy. My happiness is the best revenge of all. I did have a friend of mine whose wife cheated on him. My friend, David, wanted my advice since my spouse cheated on me. I told my David he has an important decision to make as either his spouse will be in his life or will not be in his life. It is an important decision either to stay or to go. I also told David this is where you put your happiness first and do not worry about getting revenge. David chose to stay. David told his wife she must cut ties with her friend who convinced her to cheat, and she had to admit to cheating to her parents and their children. She did all of this as she realized she made a mistake and loved David. David told me, a few years after all this happened, if he did not have children, he does not know if he would have stayed or not. This happened about 10 years ago. Their children are now out of their house. Since they are still together, it has worked out for my friend. From time to time, David talks about the time his wife cheated on him. He will never forget. David explained he had to learn how to trust his wife again. Honestly, I do not know how he does it. It shows me that everyone is different as I could never stay with anyone who cheated on me. I recently started to think about all the people I know who have cheated on their spouses. In my list, more men have cheated than women. I realized when making this list, both men and women cheat. I am glad I do not associate with any of these people on this list. I do not see David as much as I did when we were younger, but when we do, it is for a game of cards of which is for the guys. In my opinion, people who cheat are weak and/or selfish. I know in my own case I have had opportunities to cheat on Bianca. Whenever I get tempted, I think about how hurt I was. I do not want Bianca ever to experience that kind of hurt. Also, I have realized Bianca can give me many years of happiness while the other person would only give me one night of happiness. Basically, what I am saying is do not cheat. Never cheat. Why be in a relationship if you want someone else, even if it is only for a night? If you are cheated on, do not worry about revenge. Your happiness is the best revenge.